think you're right. Far bigger obstacles Luis Enrique has dealt with in life than football, and I'm sure he'll think about this very carefully. Sam, one of the things that I have screamed about for years, actually, really, is the lack of number nines that really are selected for the Spanish national team. Iago Aspas, to me, just like Craig was saying, you need a scrappy finisher sometimes when things are not going your way. It doesn't have to be Aspas, but what do you make of the fact that Spain really probably should have brought a few more finishers, or do you think it was more than that?
I think it is more than that, but obviously Luis Enrique will live and die by those decisions. Obviously, after the Costa Rica game, there was the talk about they did have the forwards that they could fire. Obviously, not just before this squad selection for the World Cup, over the last 2 years. I mean, you've touched on Iago Aspas. That's been one of those things that Luis Enrique has almost been sort of most stubborn about. He's just someone he's not used at all. Obviously, in the run up to the tournament, he started using Borja Iglesias, one of the top scorers in La Liga with Real Betis, but in the end, he decided to leave him out of the squad and to only take Morata as the only number 9. I think he's had a little bit of bad luck as well in terms of injuries. I mean, Craig mentioned Gerard Moreno there. I think if he was fully fit, I think he would have been in the squad. I think he just came back. I think he played maybe one or two games before the World Cup break, and it's probably a little bit too late for Luis Enrique to take a risk on him. And the big one, I think, is Ansu Fati. Even though he's there and people perhaps think he should have been used a bit more, people close to Ansu will tell you that he is now fully fit, but he's just not quite at the sharpness that he was, if you think back to when he burst onto the scene and at various other stages in his career, just not quite there yet. And there was the feeling that he would be perhaps the finisher or the person to provide that spark that Spain needed in the final third. And, they didn't even turn to him until extra time tonight. And then when he did come on, he didn't really get a chance. He was just waiting to see if he would just get one or two. So they missed sort of fully firing Ansu Fati. And yeah, I think in hindsight, it's easy to say now, would they have been better if they had, another 9 to throw on at the end? But Luis Enrique was never going to do that. He was never going to go against his sort of the way he plays and his style. I don't think he was going to, put two 9s on and start getting crosses into the box or doing that. So it wasn't really an option for Luis Enrique. But yeah, there are certainly players, like you say, like Iago Aspas, Gerard Moreno, Borja Iglesias, plenty of strikers around that Spain could have took. And on reflection, that will certainly be a debate here about Luis Enrique's decisions.
Moroccans everywhere are probably screaming at us saying, hey, let's talk about the winners here. And Morocco, rightly so, are through to the quarterfinals. As I mentioned, the first time an African team has done that since Ghana in 2010. Craig, I mean, obviously they had a plan. They had a strategy for today. It worked. It happened. They're in. Do you expect the same kind of philosophy when they face Portugal or Switzerland?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar. They'll have to worry less about possession. I mean, Spain will probably do that to most teams. So it wasn't unexpected. Yeah, we may, depending on fitness and tiredness and fatigue, and we saw that at the end. And boy, that adrenaline, that'll be a quick come down in 24 hours to try and get back down to somewhere of a level base to pick themselves up again and go again. I think we'll see maybe a slightly more front foot Morocco than we did, but not a wholesome change in tactics. And listen, as I mentioned earlier, they have been so difficult to beat as well. I think the prognosis on Saiss will be key for them as well, and we have no clue what that's going to be as he finished the game sort of hobbling around. So yeah, it's a difficult one, but whoever goes through from this Switzerland-Portugal game, it's hard to really say, well, they're going to be favourites now to beat this Moroccan side, because they have been so dogged in this tournament. They have got a threat on the counter-attack. We've talked about Amrabat's performance and others in the middle of the park. And if you look at where all their players are playing, they're playing at a good level. They're playing in good leagues, at good clubs, at a high standard. It's just whether they have the depth, if they have maybe 3 or 4 potential players who are not going to make that game in 2 or 3 days' time or whenever it is. And we won't know that for 24 hours or so. But they, Luis, are a threat. Make no bones about it.
100%. Well done, Morocco. All right, let's focus now on the next match as Portugal face Switzerland. And it's official. Cristiano Ronaldo is on the bench. Maybe he heard a little bit of commentary from ESPN FC Daily, Fernando Santos. Intriguing to see. Craig, back to you, and then Sam, you jump after. But thoughts on this, on how Portugal want to attack this game? Ronaldo on the bench. Clearly, Santos meant it when he said he wasn't happy about what happened in the previous game when Ronaldo was, doing a huff and a puff about being substituted.
Yeah, and I think there's been many a year where Fernando Santos has had to sort of bow to Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think that clearly, as at club level now, has gone. And we have seen and talked at length about his reaction in terms of playing for his club, but his reaction to not being the number one, to being benched, to not being brought on, to being taken off in games, and how he has smarted at this at an amazing level as far as giving, primetime interviews to Alexa Piers-Morgan and others, and ultimately being sort of fired from his club. You call it mutual consent if you want, but ultimately I think it was a firing. And now we see a huge game for Portugal, and Fernando Santos has made a big decision. And I think ultimately, if he feels that is the best way for Portugal, it's the right one. Quite frankly, I don't know about Sam or others, but I for one, and I've admired like the whole planet almost, apart from the fact if you're a sort of Messi lover, I've admired both of these players. But Luis, I'm sick and tired now of the antics of this guy. Everyone's career takes a downturn. Mother Nature spares no one. And you have to professionally accept that it's not always about you. It's about the bigger picture. And this guy has seemingly had more struggles with that than most. And so I, for one, I'm glad that Santos has made this big decision. I can't tell you if it's the right one or not, but he's sure as hell not been bullied into playing somebody that he feels is not best suited to start this match. And I think that's a big call. And I think it's a really brave call from a manager who's probably just saying to the Portuguese public, hey, I'm in charge here, not him.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.